Hello and welcome to News Central Now with me, Blessings Mosugu. The top stories of this hour. Nigerian government blocks 83 billion naira funds, arrests political collaborators. President Tinubu signed bill to increase salaries of judicial officers by 300%. Africa CDC declares public health emergency amid mpox outbreak. We have the details in a moment. Let's begin now by telling you that the federal government has identified at least 83 billion naira in cryptocurrency and fiat currency funneled into the recent nationwide protest. This sum includes $50 million in cryptocurrency, of which $38 million was frozen in 4 digital wallets. Additionally, 4 billion naira was contributed by various political actors in Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, and Katsina. Now, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu disclosed this during a presentation at the inaugural Council of State meeting convened by President Bola Tinubu at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. According to multiple sources familiar with the Tuesday meeting, Ribadu, who spoke on the nationwide protest as it affects national security, also revealed that a European has been pinpointed as the mastermind behind the widespread display of foreign flags during the protest. The police will soon issue a warrant for their arrest. It was further gathered that local individuals involved in the conspiracy have been apprehended in Abuja, Kaduna, and Kano. To judicial matters now, we understand that the National Judicial Council is scheduled to meet on Friday to select a successor for the outgoing Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwoola. The CJN will retire on the 22nd of August, upon reaching the mandatory retirement age of 70. An anonymous official who was not authorized to speak to the press revealed that the NJC's chosen candidate will be forwarded to President Bola Tinubu for final consideration. Currently, there are 21 justices on the Supreme Court. In keeping with long-standing tradition, it is expected that the most senior justice will be appointed as the new Chief Justice. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has signed into law a bill that increases the salaries, allowances, and benefits of Nigerian judicial officers by 300%. The special advisor to the president on Senate matters, Bashir Lado, announced the development in a statement on Tuesday. Now, under this new law, the Chief Justice of Nigeria will receive an annual salary of 64 million naira. The president of the Court of Appeal will earn 62.4 million naira annually, and the justices of the Supreme Court will be paid 61.4 million naira annually. Lado emphasized that President Tinubu is committed to enhancing the welfare of judicial officers and all Nigerians. Away from that now, Nigeria's Minister of Information has tasked staff of the ministry to ensure public trust in their communication with citizens. The minister, during a retreat for the ministry staff in Abuja, urged them to work towards delivering on the mandate set by President Bola Tinubu and fulfill expectations required by the Renewed Hope agenda.
The vision of this ministry under my leadership is five-pronged, and I read as follows. Number one, it is to restore trust in public communication. And like I've said earlier, this is what all of us are committed to, the return of public trust in communication, especially as it affects government. I therefore urge you to have open discussion regarding red flags and gray areas so that we will not just deliver on our mandate, but are also seen to deliver as well.
Now, the reinstated Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, has criticized Governor Godwin Obaseki's administration for accusing him of impersonation and forgery. After news broke of Shaibu's return to office, the Edo State government alleged that he was impersonating the position of Deputy Governor, citing that the court judgment reinstating him had been appealed, with a stay of execution obtained. The government also accused Shaibu of attempting to destabilize the administration and incite chaos. In response, Shaibu's chief press secretary, Musa Ebomiana, condemned the Edo State Commissioner for Communication and Orientation, Chris Nehikari, for the impersonation claim. Ebomiana said Neikari's remarks were an affront to the judiciary and a blatant violation of the valid court order issued on the 17th of July. And let's also tell you that the Rivers State House of Assembly has confirmed Ahuada West-born Samuel Eyiba and 4 other commissioner nominees who appeared before it for screening on Tuesday. The 4 others are Ilamu Arugu from Abua Odual, Dr. Roland Obed White, Samuel Anya, and Austin Emeka Nadozie. Now, their confirmation was sequel to the letter sent by the state governor, Simialai Fubara, to the Speaker, Victor Okojumbo, to determine their suitability as members of the State Executive Council. Now, with the confirmation of the commissioners designate following a voice vote of members after a heated debate, the Speaker, Victor Okojumbo, directed the clerk to convey the resolution of the House to the governor for possible swearing in as members of the State Executive Council. Earlier on, Tamino Williams, a legal practitioner, joined us on the news to share his perspective on the development.
Which is fundamental is that governance is a serious business. It's not a matter that people can just handle as though it is a ping pong. Even in the Bible, we're enjoined to submit to the authorities because they are put there by government. Now, I'm happy that the governor of Rivers State has actually come down to the basics, which is to ensure that he populates the State Executive Council, and then move on to ensure that every paraphernalia of government is manned by people who are competent and have the capacity to work and deliver on the dividends of democracy for Rivers people. But essentially, it goes to show that in spite of all the twists and turns, all the mischievous actions by persons, in and out of Rivers State, the governor is right focused on delivering on his campaign promises and ensuring that there is stable government in Rivers.
Thanks for staying with us. Now to more stories. The Abuja Memorandum of Understanding is a legal agreement through which regional countries commit to developing and implementing a unified approach to port-state country activities. Now, the primary goal of the MOU is to harmonize port-state country procedures and practices across member nations, with the aim of eliminating substandard shipping within the region. This ensures maritime safety, security, and the protection of the marine environment from pollution. The MOU also focuses on improving ship crew standards, enhancing regional cooperation, and facilitating the exchange of information among member states. Now, currently, 22 countries are signatories to the Abuja MOU. The annual Women Conference in Abia State, popularly called August Meeting, has become an avenue to give back to the society by the women, exchange of ideas and assistance to women and communities as well. The August Meeting holds on different dates within the month of August in the various communities in Igbo land, Abia inclusive. The wife of Abia State Governor Priscilla Oti organized the summit in the state capital Umuahia to support the women in their endeavors. News Central's Chinwe Ugele examines the importance of these meetings within the communities and beyond.
This women conference either heralds the August meetings for communities in the state or signals the close of the meetings. Every August, the wife of the governor of Abia State invites women from various localities to the capital for education in any particular area of interest and empower the indigents to boost their businesses. The 2024 August Women's Conference theme is Abia Women Rise to Win, meant to expose the limitless powers and strength of the Abia women. Wife of Abia State Governor Priscilla believes that women make a lot of sacrifices to support their families.
Many have been lifted by your optimism, especially in these difficult times. Thank you for believing that everything will turn out good, which is why you wake up earlier than everyone else and remain awake even when others have begun falling asleep.
Governor Alex Oti and Commissioner for Women Affairs, Blessing Felix, say women play pivotal roles in shaping the society.
At a time of serious economic difficulties such as this, the managerial capacity of our women has proven very useful in the survival of many families. Today, therefore, provides us a great opportunity to say thank you to our mothers and wives for keeping us from sinking, for always offering reliable life jackets.
This conference provides a unique opportunity for us to engage in critical discussions, empower ourselves, and network and also collaborate.
Beyond the glitz and glamour associated with August meetings, the women are resourceful and supportive to their immediate communities in different ways.
Okay, like during August meeting in my community, we help the less privileged, the widows particularly. Then we normally have something for the community, either giving out chairs to schools, school books, or grading of roads. We go to various villages. Women have built health centers. In my own village in particular, we women built our own health centers and we are still maintaining it.
August meeting now. At least someone in this teacher, the chanamba, na biakota together. Yes, you one in the village. Here, Hamotara from Ebehabi number.
The Women August meeting has come to stay, even as it has improved with time in content and purpose across.
Business activities have picked up again within the Jos Bukuru metropolis in Plateau State, following further reviews of the imposition of the curfew by Governor Caleb Mutfwang. The state governor had on Sunday, August 4th, imposed a 24-hour curfew on the metropolis in consultation with security agencies in the state to contain the unrest by some youths who hijacked the peaceful #EndBadGovernance protest. News Central's Chizoba Anionwe tells us more.
It is no longer news how peaceful the #EndBadGovernance in Nigeria protest went in Plateau State, despite the fact that some hoodlums took the opportunity to cause mayhem in some parts of the Jos Bukuru metropolis. The timely intervention of security agencies led by troops of Operation Safe Haven contained the violence. Commander of the Special Task Force, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, was impressed with their show of professionalism and commended them at the operations headquarters in Jos after they were pulled out from the troubled areas as calm had been restored.
201 soldiers formed up for Operation Peaceful Degree. The eye of mission standing at the south.
Residents of the metropolis commended the governor for the proactive measure of imposing the curfew. However, it wasn't a palatable venture, noting the unexpected action.
There are people out there, if they don't go out for their daily businesses, they cannot eat. So this curfew has really affected everybody one way or the other.
I just want to appreciate the governor for being proactive, that things did not escalate beyond what it has been.
That's wickedness, gross wickedness as far as I'm concerned. They're supposed to help people and make things better for the masses especially. But they just put curfew. They did not even provide us with any food. They say we should stay at home like goats.
These residents feel that the curfew should be entirely lifted owing to the bad economy and hardship experienced in many quarters.
Some of us will buy food in mudus. We buy one mudu every day. And with the little money, we go to do business and come back and buy food and go home with the food. We don't do business. How do you expect us to eat? So please, if the government will help us and lift this curfew off, we will appreciate.
He should just lift it. Let's just be free, work on free land and do our business freely. I'm just praying to God that all these things should stop because it's affecting everybody. We are not finding it easy at all.
For now, residents are freely going about their lawful businesses, hoping that the curfew further reviewed to begin from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. daily be lifted for normal life to return again. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyomi.
Now, motorists in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, have expressed frustration over the unavailability of fuel and the hardship being expressed in trying to buy the product. They say the queues, which resurfaced before the #EndBadGovernance protest, have persisted and called for urgent intervention to cushion the effect of the hardship on many citizens. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, spoke to some of them.
The resurfacing of fuel queues in Nigeria's capital a few weeks ago is gradually becoming a norm as motorists spend hours in long queues just to buy fuel. This experience for many motorists within the city center is also shared by those around the satellite communities where several productive hours are wasted on long queues, which impacts negatively on businesses.
It was yesterday. Somebody bashed my car on the fuel queue, and here I am again. I'm from the hospital.
I can't be here for over 2 hours trying to buy fuel, and still yet nothing. I've not even bought fuel. I'm not even sure if I will still buy fuel.
I cannot really tell why we should have a product in the country and at the same time we are suffering.
With prices differing among the few petrol stations that have products to sell, some motorists say the situation is becoming unbearable for them. They call on the government to intervene and resolve the crisis.
Before I used to buy full tank, 9,500, I will fill my tank. But this, if I buy a full tank now, you have to be like 49,000, 50,000 naira. How much are they paying me? How much am I making? I will have to buy for 50,000 naira.
It has not been easy. You come to fuel station where you can walk to just in space of 5 minutes and you get what you want. But now you'll be there 1 hour, 2 hours.
We have individually spoken. People have been talking. Last week, we just concluded a nationwide protest. And yet, we have not had anything reasonable from the president.
They also call on the government to address the hardship citizens face.
If you look at the way and manner people come out for the protest, you know, definitely the situation is tough for everybody. We are appealing to the government that they should come to the rescue of the populace.
They should listen to the masses and see what the demand of the masses is. Then let them channel their effort towards that.
While many players in the oil value chain have blamed the End Bad Governance protest for being responsible for the long queues, many would be hoping that with the protest now over, motorists can move into petrol stations and get products freely. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Now, reverting to the news about the 300% pay rise for judicial officers, we have joining us to discuss this and delve into the matter an economist and public affairs analyst, Aliyu Ilyas. Thank you so much, Aliyu, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you too. It's a pleasure. Now, the president's decision to raise judicial officers' salaries by 300% has kind of sparked a whole lot of controversy, and a lot of people are raising eyebrows. And this is coming in the midst of the challenges that the government is facing when it comes to negotiating smaller increases for labor. And let's not forget that some time ago, lawmakers in the House of Senate also did pledge to take a salary cut of 50% just to cushion the effect of the economic crisis that the country is facing. I guess my question is going to be, what are your thoughts on this?
Right, I think it's quite timely, because if you look at the last report by NODP, and currently with Mark and I feel that the judiciary is the highest court area in sector, so to say. So with this, I think that would have been that. I think they deserve more, because now at least the Chief Justice can get over 5 million. The Supreme Court judges 4 million. The other judges about 3 million. Because to have a good justice and see them delivering in a good manner, I think there is need for for salary increment. And more so, I think you also see what Governor Ododo also did yesterday. He also gave 11 judges 11 vehicles. So I think it's in the Muhammadu Buhari era. There's a lot of issues in terms of judiciary being corrupt. You recall President Muhammadu Buhari has also gone to court about for 3 presidential elections, and by the time he became president, you see that he had some issue with some judges. I think justices are not there, they have to go to their houses and whatever. So I think President Bola Tinubu have seen the reasons why they pay the judiciary well. Perhaps you also agree with me that actually every sector need a rise. The only thing is that this one is 300% increments.
My challenge is coming in the midst of these economic crises, and don't forget that there's also a level of distrust for the judiciary. The people think that the judiciary is compromised, and then there's a kind of lack of integrity, according to the people, on the part of the judiciary. And then again, the economic crisis. Let me ring that again. I don't know if this is the right time, but I mean, what do you think that will convey to the average Nigerian?
Well, to speak economically, I think it's not the right time, because if you look at the purchasing power now, it's quite very, very low, whereby Nigerians use about 1% of their income to purchase food. And they also live in the same climate, they also work, and they need to at least be better. Because you will recall that we've seen different scenarios where they will say, lawyers will say, pay me more, when you pay more, also pay that more to serve well. So we want judiciary to be so important that when they even offer them bribe, they will say no to the bribe. So I think it's very, very good. You can't say because of the economy will not do the increment. After all, government has increased the salary of the workers. So I think they deserve more at this point in time. But in terms of being corrupt, I think this is the time we need to hold them up more accountable. Like I said, according to UN, it is said that judiciary is the most corrupt sector in Nigeria. So I think there is need for us to now look at them and accountable.
All right, economist and public affairs analyst Aliyu Ilyas, thank you so much for joining us to discuss that and giving us your thoughts on it.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, the Abuja Memorandum of Understanding is a legal agreement through which regional countries commit to developing and implementing a unified approach to port-state country activities. Now, the primary goal of the MOU is to harmonize port-state control procedures and practices across member nations with the aim of eliminating substandard shipping within the region. This ensures maritime safety, security, and the protection of the marine environment from pollution. The MOU also focuses on improving ship crew standards, enhancing regional cooperation, and facilitating the exchange of information among member states. Currently, 22 countries are signatories to the Abuja MOU. Joining us now to discuss substandard ships and strategies for their eradication in the West and Central African region is Captain Sunday Umorin, Secretary General of the Abuja MOU on Port State Country. Captain Umorin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
My pleasure. Now, Captain, can you help us make sense of the Abuja MOU on the port state control? Let's find out how this has performed in its primary goal of eliminating substandard ships in the region so far. And is there any data or statistical evidence to show the effectiveness of this initiative?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, it's good to be here, and it's good to be put on the spot to at least share with your audience on what we're doing. Yes, as highlighted, the primary function, the major mandate of the Abuja MOU is to work towards the elimination of substandard vessels. And the big question is, how do you eliminate substandard vessels? That is done through inspection regime. It means ships will need to be inspected against known and accepted conventions. Currently, we have what we call 16 instruments, legal instruments, which inspections are based on. And those instruments are IMO conventions and 1 ILO conventions. So I have the statistics here, which I'm just going to read out. I wish we were able to show the graph to all. In total, in 2023, based on our annual report, 3,117 inspections were conducted, of which 296 of them came down with deficiencies, and of which 1,386 deficiencies were noted, and 23 ships were detained, because the follow-up to an inspection is could be an action like fix the vessel before you leave, or detain until that has been sorted. I'll just give you a highlight with respect to the number of inspections conducted by our member states. Nigeria did, in terms of numeric report, Nigeria did 666 vessels, 666 inspections, to which 5 ships were detained. Republic of Congo did 348 inspections with 2 detentions. Ghana did 168 inspections with 10 detentions. Senegal did 486 inspections with 1 detention. South Africa did 126 inspections with 5 detentions. I don't want to go through the whole list of 22 countries, but those are the top countries with respect to the inspections conducted and the detentions that were made.
Right. Now, what measures would you say can be taken to address oil spills by foreign vessels, given their prevalence in Nigerian waters?
With respect to oil spills, usually we will ban the causes into 2 areas. One will be operational waste, and the other one will be accidental. When you look at the activities of the post-state regime, which is about inspection, we inspect vessels based on MAPOL 78 as amended. MAPOL is a marine pollution regulation of IMO. So by inspecting, what we intend to find, first, to ensure that the equipment on board the vessels are operationally functional, that the crew are well trained, and that the crew also comply with the conventions, the requirements of the conventions. So if that is done successfully, if those aspects are done successfully, what you actually will aim at is the reduction of accidental discharges. Yes, the operational one, if ever through operation it gets into the sea, there's a criminal twist to that, which is an offense against the state. So by inspecting the vessels to be sure that their equipment are okay, their activities on board the vessels are conducted in line with the requirements of the conventions, we are actively working towards elimination of oil spills, effluent being pumped into the sea. Not just into the sea, into the air also, because there's also the air pollution.
All right, Secretary General of the Abuja MOU on Port State Control, Captain Sunday Umoran, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Coming up on the news, Africa's CDC declares public health emergency on Mpox outbreak. We'll bring you the details after the break. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, statistics in South Africa on Tuesday announced that the South African unemployment rate has climbed to 33.5% during the period from 32.9% in first quarter, when the economy shrank 0.1%. Now, this brings the rate to within 2% points of the record high of 35.3% recorded in the last quarter of 2021. The figures indicate that several thousand jobs were lost in the last quarter. According to Stats SA, there was an increase of 158,000 in the number of unemployed persons, pushing the number of unemployed persons to 8.4 million compared to the first quarter. Joining us now to discuss this is an independent economist, Bonke Dumisa. Thank you so much, Bonke, for joining us.
Yes, good day to you and your listeners.
Good day to you too. Now, what can you say are the key factors contributing to the rise in the unemployment rate in South Africa during the first quarter of this year, despite the economy seemingly running with power supply restored for some time now?
Okay, you are referring to the second quarter, where the unemployment rate went up to 33.5%.
Yes, please.
It was not surprising to many of us, despite the absence of load shedding. The reason why I am saying it was not really surprising, it is because in South Africa, we've had what we call the jobless growth for a number of years. And the reason for that, we've got a very high unemployment, very high population growth rate versus a low economic growth rate. And sometimes we've actually had a negative economic growth. So this had to happen. And the reason for that, then, as I mentioned, the population growth rate, you have people who are already unemployed. And at the end of every year, you bring in new people who are going to be looking for jobs, and they do not find jobs. In fact, they add to the unemployment queues. So the only way in which we can stop this is we need the political will to have the politicians and the community agreeing that our education system, we like it, but it does not produce the kind of products people who will be ready for the needs of the economy of South Africa. So this is what the economy called the structural unemployment problem.
Okay, so still basing this conversation off of the fact that the lights have been on for some time now, talking about power restoration in South Africa, what specific sectors of the economy do you believe are still struggling despite the general improvements that have been recorded? And how are these struggles correlating with unemployment rates?
Okay, the issue of load did affect mining and manufacturing a lot. And yes, the power did come back during the second quarter, but it was not enough to bring back that confidence in the economy that the people who are involved in those sectors were actually operated at the levels that they operated in long before we started having the load shedding challenges. So it just put a pause there. It may have improved the number of people who got unemployed rather than increasing the number of people who got employed.
Okay. Now, talking about unemployment among the youth, this is a very significant concern as well, as they always say that the youth are supposed to, be the leaders of tomorrow. What are the specific challenges that young people in South Africa are facing in today's labor market? We know that there is the education issue, there's a lack of infrastructure issue, there's the economic policy. What are the major issues that they're facing?
As I said, we have a very high population growth rate in South Africa, and the youth are actually part of that high population growth rate. So the absorption rate for those youth into the economy is very low because of the education they have, and also because they are now competing with people who are not yet ready to leave the workspace. So you do find then that it's the last in. Once you want to come in, find then that the workplace is still already congested, and the people who are retiring and leaving the workspace is not as high as the number of younger people who are coming in. So we need to address the whole issue then of, do these youths come into the workspace being far better skilled than the ones who are already in? because then we could accelerate the departure of those who are already in, but it's not necessarily the case that they come in with better skills.
All right. Thank you so much, independent economist Banke Demeter, for joining us and giving us the update on South Africa's unemployment rate. All right. The African Union's health watchdog has declared a public health emergency in response to the escalating mpox outbreak across the continent, calling it a clarion call for action. The outbreak has affected several African countries, notably the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the virus, previously known as monkeypox, was first identified in humans in 1970. Now, as of August 4th, Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention data reports 38,465 mpox cases and 1,456 deaths in Africa since January 2022. This marks the first time the Addis Ababa-based agency has utilized the Continental Security Authority granted to it in 2022. Now, the declaration aims to galvanize funding and resources to effectively combat the disease's spread. And to World Rep now, U.S. President Joe Biden says a ceasefire deal in Gaza could potentially deter Iran from retaliating against Israel for the recent killing of a Hamas leader, a move that has heightened regional tensions. His comments came after Iran dismissed Western calls to de-escalate its threat of reprisals. Iran has held Israel responsible for the July 31st killing of Ismail Haniyeh, who was in Tehran for the swearing-in of Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. Now, Israel has yet to respond to these accusations. In retaliation, Iran has vowed to avenge Haniyeh's death, which followed an Israeli strike in Beirut that killed a senior Hezbollah commander. Now, Biden acknowledged that negotiations were becoming difficult, but affirmed that he was not giving up on efforts to reach a resolution.
It's getting hard. We'll see what Iran does, and we'll see what happens if there's any attack. But I'm not giving up.
Are those two things tied together? Do you have the understanding that Iran could cease or stop doing an action if a ceasefire deal was possible?
That's my expectation, but we'll see. Thank you.
For more on this, I'm now being joined by our international correspondent, Afia Hagan. Thank you so much, Afia, for joining us. All right, Afia, if you can hear me, we're hearing this morning that Hamas has made the decision not to participate in ceasefire talks. Can you tell us what the reason for that is?
That's right. Hamas have said that they will not be participating in these ceasefire talks, which are due to take place in either Qatar or in Egypt on Thursday. That is tomorrow. And Hamas have given this statement, and they said that they weren't against the ceasefire talks in principle, but they said they would not participate because Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is not interested in reaching an agreement that ends the aggression completely. Now, this is according to Ahmed Abdul Hadi, a member of Hamas, and he went on to say rather he is deceiving and evading and wants to prolong the war and even expand it at the regional level, and thus he uses negotiations as the cover to continue his aggression against our people and commit more massacres against them. Now, the group went on to say in this statement that they would return to negotiations if there was a clear commitment from the Israeli government to approve a ceasefire proposal put forward by Hamas in July. Hamas have also accused Israel of setting new conditions, and they've also said that they are angered by the assassination of their Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, which took place in Tehran, and also because of that deadly school attack, the attack in that school in Gaza City that occurred in the past few days. So Hamas quite adamant that they will not be present at ceasefire negotiations, which were due to take place tomorrow.
Right. And what would you say has been the general reaction to the statement by the Hamas?
Well, it's clear that tensions are rising in this region and have been rising for the past couple of weeks, because you have not only the continued bombardment in Israel, Gaza, you also have parts of Israel being hit by rockets from Hezbollah and their proxies in the region, namely coming from Lebanon. Now, Qatar, Egypt, and the US have spent months working on this ceasefire deal and this three-phase plan, which would see Hamas releasing hostages that they captured on October 7th in exchange for Palestinians imprisoned by Israel, and also Israel withdrawing from Gaza. Now, Antony Blinken was actually due to go to the region yesterday, but his travel has been delayed because of uncertainty in the region. And that's thought to be because, like I said, Israel targets being hit from Lebanon and from their proxies, and rockets hitting Tel Aviv for the first time in a few weeks. Like I said, tensions are rising, but also the US realizing that the situation is deteriorating, not sending their top diplomat to the region. But there's definitely disappointment from the US and from the Qatari representatives as well, and the Egyptian representatives, that Hamas will not be at the negotiation table tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much, Afia Hagen, for the update on the ceasefire deal in Gaza and the truce in general. Thank you once again. We go on a short break now, and when we come back, more stories. To stay with us. To sports now. Nigeria's Edo Queens Football Club will face Asaka's Ladies FC of Ghana in Match Day 2 of the CAF Women's Champions League WAFU B playoffs in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. Edo Queens won their opening games 5-0 against AS Garde National of Niger Republic, while Asaka's Ladies were held to a goalless draw by Etincelles of Burkina Faso. Asaka's Ladies concluded their preparations with an intense training session on Tuesday, aiming to extend their stay in the competition and secure a spot in the main Champions League. A victory for Edo Queens would boost their chances of advancing further. The match kicks off at 5 p.m. Nigerian time at Stade de la Praille, Boaké. Still in sports, the Ghanaian under-20 women's national team, the Black Princesses, have departed for Colombia ahead of the FIFA under-20 Women's World Cup. The team left Accra on Tuesday evening for Bogota to finalize their preparations for the tournament, which kicks off on the 31st of August. Now, this will be Ghana's 7th consecutive appearance at the World Cup, with the team aiming to advance past the group stage for the first time. Drawn in Group E, Ghana will face former champions Japan, New Zealand, and Austria. Their campaign starts against Austria on the 2nd of September, followed by matches against Japan and New Zealand. The Black Princesses have been training since winning gold at the African Games in March, first at the Ghanaian Circus Center of Excellence, then in Cape Coast. Well, that's all on the news at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. Now, we need to tell you the Nigerian government blocks 83 billion naira protest funds, arrests political collaborators. We also mentioned that President Tinubu signs bill to increase salaries of judicial officers by 300%. And finally, Africa's CDC declares public health emergency amid Mpox outbreak. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Also, do well to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Mosugu.